Howdy howdy, this is Crazy Grinding back again with an arena cutoff video for Marvel Contest of Champion. Today I'm going to do my round 1 predictions, or should I say very rough estimates since we're still in a new version of the arenas. But anyway, I'm going to cover my round 1 rough estimates for the Thor, Jane Foster, and Hela arenas. So the first thing I like to do when trying to take a look at these arenas is where do I think these arenas are going to stack up compared to past results. And as you can see here, I think with Jane Foster, it's pretty clear she's an old champ. With feature champs, the kind of results before the 5-star arena was introduced there was old and new kind of groupings of results. So old obviously is Jane Foster falls into that, and she's as old can get. She's not only an old champ, but is not a good champ to get, doesn't have a ton of utility, so she's going to be bottom of the barrel. And then when you look at Hela, I think she's going to fall in as a mid-interest champ for the 4-star arena. With the 4-star arenas, past results that we've seen were either really high-interest champs, think Archangel when he was in 4-star basic, think Iceman, Spider-Man Stark Enhanced, that kind of thing. Mid-interest is kind of where we've seen a lot of these champs fall in. Thor Ragnarok most recently, Yondu, Nebula, etc. And then you have some low-interest champs. Those are kind of like if Jane Foster was in the 4-star basic arena, she'd be in that area. So when I'm thinking of those 3 different kind of categories, I think Hela will land in there. And again, going into this analysis, just want to throw it out there again, and I'll throw it out there multiple times probably before it's through. This is only the second time that we have an arena with a 5-star feature arena kind of thing. And with that, we're still trying to really get those numbers out there, the cutoffs. I don't have enough results yet to do any kind of dependable trend analysis, so we'll just have to go with it as we've got it now, and then over the next 2 or 3 more arenas with the 5-star arena in there, I should have enough past results to do some more dependable trend analysis. But for the time being, we'll go forward with what we have. So now that I've kind of categorized these where I kind of think they'll fall, when it comes to recent mid-tier results, you can even look at the one we just finished up with Thor Ragnarok. He went right around that 3.0, 3.2 kind of range. I think his second round is going to come in a little bit higher at 3.2 million, and you can see he's kind of closer to Angela. But there are some arenas that are even lower than that. You can think about King Groot, who came into 2.7 million. But then there are some mid-term, or I should say mid-interest arenas that are a little bit higher, like Yondu with 4.1 million. So there's a good range there, and I think we're going to see Hela fall in between that Angela and Star-Lord number, 3.0 to 3.6 million. Now, when we think of the old 3-star feature arenas, you can see they're pretty similar, very similar. Now, we haven't seen an old champ yet again with this new structure, but I really do think it's going to fall in here because what this is, these numbers are above the last milestone. So you have people just grinding through those last milestones and maybe going a few 10,000s groups higher, like 20, 30, 40,000 higher, and that's where you start getting into this range. So I really think these numbers will stick even in the new arena structure. But when it comes to the 4-star basic and should I say 4-star feature and the 5-star feature for old champs, we really don't have that. There's no precedent to look at, yeah, this is what happened. We do have, the results that we saw recently with Killmonger, but he was a new champ, so I don't think these are exactly going to relate over. But just for the purposes of kind of figuring this out, I did take a look of what was the change compared to a new 4-star feature champ compared to the 5-star feature champ. And you can see here, looking at the last 3 new champs in the 4-star feature arena before we moved to the new 5-star arena format. We had MODOK, we had Void. Now these aren't in the exact order, but this is some recent ones right before the arena change. And then we had Hulk Ragnarok, and you can see where those numbers are. They basically averaged out to around 18 million for that first round cutoff, with 35 million being what we saw for the first round cutoff for the new 5-star Killmonger, which was an increase of 194%, almost 2 times what we saw previously. So if we apply that kind of approach over to the old 4-star results, and you can see we had some recent old 4-star results. The only thing I'll say when you look at like Archangel, Nightcrawler, none of these are like the meme champs or the horrible champs that are out there today, the old champs that are also don't have a lot of value. So this may not exactly be an apples to apples comparison, but at least it gives us a frame of reference to kind of think about this thing. But anyway, applying that 194% increase over to the old 3-star, or should I say old 4-star champs, you can see that 10 million was the average, and that means that a cutoff could be all the way around 19.4 million. Now, again, this just gives us a starting point. I really don't think Jane Foster will fall around that number just because she's not really that great of a champ, whereas some of these other champs you're looking at here are. But anyway, again, just a starting point. Now, coming over to the 4-star feature, you can see that, again, the average for a new 4-star feature champ was around 18 million before the 5-star arena was introduced. But now, after the 5-star feature arena with like Killmonger, his first round jumped significantly down to 6.5 million for that first cutoff. That's a 64% drop compared to what we saw with the old arena structure. So if we can assume for the 4-star feature arena there will be that kind of significant drop, even for a old champ, this is what we can kind of look like here with the old champs again, with their average around 10 million for that first round cutoff. That means we can assume the cutoff will be for 3.6 million. Now, the only issue with, again, this is just a starting point to think off of. My first reaction to that is the last milestone rewards at 4 million. So people that just try to go through the milestone rewards and end up with some shards, they're going to push higher than that 3.6 anyway. So I think we got to think a little bit higher, even for Thor, Jane Foster, for this 4-star feature arena. So with this, all this kind of going into it, the thing I always like to do as well is get input from you, the community, and what you guys think. What do you think these cutoffs will be for round 1? And starting first with the Hela, you can see that 52%, 216 of you took the time to vote. Thank you very much, and a handful of you also took time to kind of expand on your vote and why you voted that way in the comment section. So thank you very much. Your input really does help me put these videos together. But anyway, with the 4-star basic, you can see that for the 216 that voted, over 50% of them felt like the first round cutoff will land between 3.5 to 4 million. You can see Shadowbra's opinion on here. Hela has great synergies, but because Jane Foster is featured and there's a lack of interest for her, it will drive up the cutoff. But also the sheer charge for 5-star arena need to take into account, as people might prefer 5-star shards over Hela. So I think Shadowbra is saying, because they're such a weak feature champ, that there'll probably be more people over here than last time that we saw, like for Thor Ragnarok, now in this new arena structure. But at the same time, there needs to be that balance, because people might just do some shard hunting in the higher arenas as well. However, kind of just a counterpoint between Wayne Chung and Clayton Ward, you can see Wayne was saying people still playing the 5-star arena, so scores will be low. So kind of piggybacking on what Shadowbra said, there will be some 5-star arena grinding just for the milestones and trying to get those the shard tiers. And then lastly, Clayton Ward, nothing goes that high in basic anymore. And I think he's making a good point that we haven't seen any big numbers out of any 4-star basic champs in some time. Really, I think it's since it was Starkey Spider-Man. But anyway, moving over to the 4-star feature arena cutoff with Thor, Jane Foster, you can see that most folks out of the 213 that voted, thank you very much, 56% felt that she'll fall in between 3.5 to 4 million for her first round cutoff. And I think Jeremy Husband here kind of calls it out. She's an absolute trash champ. One of the worst, in my opinion. I have her as a 5-star, and my 5-star Groot is like Hyperion compared to her. So Jeremy is just trashing, smashing, and any words you want for calling out Jane Foster here. But you can see her attacks are so weak. The most damage I've gotten out of her was a 13%, and this was her L3. I can't see many people wasting their time and effort. Most will go to the 5-star arena for the better shard tiers. I have her unduped as a 4 and a 5-star, and if for some wild reason I decide to go for it, merely to dupe my 4-star. But main objective will definitely be Hela. And I think this is another call out again where people might be looking towards Hela because they're such a weak 4-star feature champ. And then Jason Newman calls out just a different opinion here. People who participate in this arena will still have the 5 champs to use. If you're going to go drive for it, you can put in a lot of points. So I think he's just saying, some people might grind this arena because they're just, trying to get through the milestone rewards or whatever. And they could have a lot of 5-stars, and it can easily get up to that over 4 million without a ton of grinding. And then lastly, when we look at the 5-star feature arena, you can see that most folks, over 267 voted, thank you very much, felt that she will fall over 63%. She will fall under, her first round cutoff will fall under 16 million. And again, you can see Jason Newman here. The arena refreshes are gone or save for better champs. Lady Thor is not popular and Hela is. So again, this is just saying, again, and I think it's a good point that Jason makes. There are no longer the arena refreshes, or people are holding on to those for a champ they really want and not try to spin those with Jane Foster. But then Tracy Pino, he gives a counterpoint there. I think there would be people who want to get their first 5-star champ from an arena without having to put over 30 million up. So people may just want to get her as kind of a trophy. So I think Tracy's point here is just, with a little extra grind effort, you could probably get her as a free 5-star, right? Which can just help with further grinding down the road. Not much other than that with Jane Foster, but just as something to consider. So anyway, now with all this input from the community taken into consideration, as well as looking at some of the past numbers that I'm trying to pull into an analysis for this new arena, even though, again, this new arena is completely different than what we've seen in the past, or I should say could potentially change results completely different. It still remains to be seen over the next couple of weeks with these first initial arenas. Here are my thoughts, though, with round 1 predictions. And again, these are just rough predictions, really only estimates, since we don't know. We've never had this new 5-star feature arena with a feature champ like Jane Foster, who's old, been in the game, and most people don't want or already have, kind of thing. So with that being said, and based off your input again, thank you very much for taking the time, I think the first round cutoff for the 5-star Jane Foster will be around 14 million, with the top 10% coming in at 8.5 million. Jumping over to the 4-star feature arena for Jane Foster, I think that'll come in at 4.5 million. Remember, that last milestone is 4 million, so I think people will grind a little extra and get 4.5. But then that top 10% is just going to be right above that milestone reward, which is at 4 million to 4.2. So this is going to be I think this is going to be very interesting. How this plays out compared to like what we've seen with a 3-star feature arena in the past, where people get through the milestones, just want the shards, but then there's a fine balance cut between the milestone rewards and where you actually get the champ. So I think some people will be just trying to get the milestone rewards and the shards and end up getting the champ and like, oh no, I got her, kind of thing. I don't know how happy. I think many would prefer the crystal shards to use on trying to get better champs. But anyway, jumping over to the 4-star basic, I think that cutoff will be right around 4.1 million, with 11 to 25% shard tier coming in at 1.6 million. And then lastly, we have the 3-star feature arena coming in right around that historically similar 710,000, with 11 to 25% dropping down to 560,000, which is a little bit lower than what we saw for the old arena structure. But this is a number we saw that first time through with Thor Ragnarok. Now, these are my rough predictions in terms of where I actually think the cutoff will be for the veterans bracket. Here are my grind targets. So if you want to kind of give yourself a security blanket, again, these are very rough predictions. So you might even want to bump these numbers up a little bit higher if you really want these champs. And the only one I would recommend you even consider that would be Hela as Jane Foster, Thor Ragnarok. Jane Foster, Thor, Jane Foster. Don't worry, you'll get her soon when you're trying to get somebody else. Skabam always likes to throw Jane Foster at us when we're trying to pull somebody else from our crystals. But anyway, if you really want to get her from a 5-star, go to 15 million. If you really want to get her as a 4-star feature, go to 5 million. Now with Hela, I think you'll need to go to 4.4, maybe even 4.5 million to give yourself a little safety buffer, if you will, to get her with that 11 to 25% tier around 1.7 million. And lastly, if you really want Jane Foster 3-star, you must be new to the game. Believe me, they're better champs. I won't even tell you the number. You have to actually look at the screen. You won't be able to just listen here. No, I'm teasing. 740,000, I think, will be the grind target. But really, consider other champions. Consider doing something else with your time in this game other than grinding that 3-star arena. Even going for the shards and the milestone rewards, recommend going to the 4-star basic. Don't waste your time with that 3-star feature. But again, if you're brand new to the game, this is the best arena you can go for. I recommend stopping around 600. Go to that 650. Get that last milestone and stop, because you don't want to be I won't even call it rewarded. You don't want to be punished by getting that 3-star Jane Foster. But anyway, again, these are the grind targets, and the round 1 predictions are for the veterans bracket. When it comes to the intermediate and beginners bracket, meaning your account's been open for less than 61 days, here are some very rough brackets. If those last numbers were rough, these are even rougher, because there's just has never been really a good consistent source of cutoffs for these brackets. But these are rough ranges based off of my own personal experience going twice through the beginner and intermediate brackets with different accounts, and then also hearing from other folks who have taken the time to let me know. And for those of you out there that are playing in the intermediate bracket and beginner bracket, would really appreciate after you get results back to throw it in the comment section on my videos, just because then that way I can start getting an unofficial collection of these results and hopefully improve these numbers for other people over time. So give back to your community by taking a few minutes and posting results. I'd greatly appreciate it. But anyway, here are some rough ranges to kind of keep in consideration if you are grinding in some of these newer brackets. For the beginner bracket, 3-star feature, around 245,000, 4-star basic, 1.2 million, and the 4-star feature. You really want to go after. Now, I could see maybe newer to the game needing a Jane Foster just because you need as many chances to get. So I won't give you too much grief if you go after that 4-star feature, but that's a lot of grinding at 1.2 million with a newer roster. But anyway, jumping down to the intermediate bracket, the 3-star feature right around 550,000, 4-star basic around 1.1 million, and then lastly the 4-star feature at 1.8 million. I think that number is way overblown. It's probably going to end up being closer to about 1.2, but those are for newer champions. Like Killmonger was probably like that. Jane Foster would be probably closer to 1 million. But anyway, these are just some rough ranges to play against when you're in some of these newer brackets like the beginner or intermediate. But anyway, these are my thoughts between those numbers as well as these predictions as well as grind target. Again, these are very rough targets. We've never had a scenario like this before. Sure, we had the 5-star arena just recently for Killmonger, but now we've got a junky old champ like Thor, Jane Foster available. We don't know how the community is going to really grind. I think Hela's really going to push that 4-star feature. Jane Foster probably beat the cutoff, but we'll see anyway at the end of the day. As you can see here, I actually do have the Jane Foster arena still eking out just a little bit higher, but it's going to be real close. But anyway, here are my thoughts. I would love to hear your thoughts, or if you have any questions, throw them down in the comment section. We can definitely talk about it there. And if you like this video, we really appreciate you clicking that thumbs up button. If you like this and other videos I have on the channel, we really appreciate it. Subscribe. Thank you very much for stopping by, and have a great day.